5 Dallas police officers were killed last Thursday by a madman looking for revenge over last week's police shootings. And joining us now is former New York City Police Commissioner and author of the book Vigilance, Ray Kelly.
Hey, Ray.
Welcome. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So, Ray, when you look at these two videos, or you listen to Diamond, what do you see?
Well, they certainly look bad as far as the police are concerned. As the attorney said, we need an in-depth investigation here. But certainly the optics of it are bad. I think it's something to acknowledge from the get-go is that police officers make instantaneous decisions. Those decisions can be wrong. Their judgments can be faulty, just like anybody's judgment can be faulty. If you make a mistake in business, it costs money. If you make a mistake as a police officer, it can cost lives. So the stakes are much higher. And what we need here, as the attorney said, is an in-depth, thorough investigation as to what happened in both of these incidents.
Right. Do you think that it would also help if we were able to change some of the tone that's used by people on behalf of the police? Because I wonder if sometimes, as we saw with the Dallas commissioner, who said, I'm coming at this as a family person, you know, and this is a terrible thing that's happened and shouldn't be happening because our officers are, you know, trying to do their best. Do you think it would help if people actually heard that from the people who keep making these statements?
Tone is so important. Timing is so important. I thought Chief Brown was so impressive, so articulate. He's obviously had hurt as far as his family is concerned, yet he was absolutely terrific. So, yeah, you're right. Words matter. And when you use those words matter. And, yeah, I think we all have to tone down the rhetoric. We rush to judgment in these cases. Ferguson, which started, I think, Black Lives Matter, the officer in Ferguson incident was ultimately exonerated by a thorough Justice Department investigation. Yet most people don't know that. It's a very rapid rush to judgment there. Lots of mistakes were made by the department, by the city of Ferguson, but that officer was ultimately exonerated.
But when you see these things, how much of it is fear on the police officer's part or racism? What's your assessment of that?
You know, it's so hard to say. Is there anxiety on the part of police officers? Yes. People sort of discount that. They think they're, you know, they're superhuman. Well, they're not. They have their own fears and concerns.
The Philando Castile incident, the policeman was hysterical. He seemed to be so anxious and upset and weird. And the girlfriend who was just here was calm as a cucumber. And not that calm, but she was controlled, whereas the cop was out of control. What do you say to that?
She was so amazing. Her comportment, her demeanor.
But shouldn't the cop be just
as far as the police officer is concerned, I don't know what precipitated this. That's what the investigation will focus on. What made him do what he did? So we need that to be thoroughly examined.
But Commissioner, I think we need to talk about the statistics because as Joy was asking you, we know that a black kid like mine is 2.5 times more likely to be shot by a cop than his white friend. And the bottom line here is that when you look at the statistics, white officers shoot suspects more quickly, black suspects, than white suspects, even in training videos. So how do you fix that? Is it training? Is it reducing the use of force? Is it shooting to wound? What is the solution? Because we know that there is a problem.
It's a complex issue, no question about it. We know that about 70% of people who are shot by the police in the United States are white people.
But there are more white people in the United States.
That's true. However, 13% of the population is African American. They account for about 30% of the police shootings. There is a lot more calls for service for the police to go into communities of color, so it just increases the contacts. I think we need to look at this issue more thoroughly, drill down as far as the issue of shooting minorities is concerned. It's a complex matter. There's no easy answer to it. there is, more crime in communities of color than there is in the white community. So you have to factor that in.
See, the mere fact that you say it like that goes to the segregation, which is basically at the root of a lot of this evil, is segregation. You say in the black communities. Why are there only black communities and white communities? That's the problem.
Well, that's a much larger issue.
It is, and that's the issue that needs to be discussed.
Why are these communities over-policed, and why are these tactics used in these particular communities? Because that's not to say that black people just happen to commit more crime, because that doesn't make a lot of sense, that just by the nature of their race they commit more crime. Well, that is not necessarily true.
I would
that
question the notion that it's over-policed. The vast majority of those contexts that I talked about are a result of 911 calls. People in those communities calling for the police, calling for help.
Because people fundamentally know that most police officers are there to do their job.
Right.
Yeah. People, listen, I happen to believe a bit more of, if you want to make this better, first admit there's an issue. First, let's all say, yeah, there's an issue we need to deal with. Yeah. I think what tends to happen, and we saw it here with Eric Gardner, where no one understood why people were enraged. And this idea that you can't get anyone to say, damn, that was messed up. That's never what we want our police officers to do. No one ever says that. And that's what I think will help us feel better about what people know. And I say us, and I mean us as a community. White people, black people, yellow people, all the people, all the people I'm talking about. Because one of the things that we have to have is we have to have that communication like we have with you, so you have to come back. Thank you to former New York Police Commissioner Ray Kelly, and we will be right back.